Hey lovelies, my name is Joanne. Today I'm back again with another tutorial and it's step by step on how to sew this beautiful top you're seeing on your screen now. Actually, this is a part 2 of this video. I've already posted a part 1 of this video, and if you've not seen that video yet, please go and check it out. It is very detailed. So guys, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do click the subscribe button, like and share this video, and also don't forget to turn on your post notification bell so that anytime I post videos like this, interesting videos like this, you will be the first to be notified. So guys, without wasting much of your time, let's get into the tutorial. First off, I'll start by explaining each of the patterns after cutting with my fabric. This is a cup part. I cut 2 of these and I added 0.5 inch to the base. For the upper cup, I added 1 inch because I'll be passing a rope here. Go ahead and add 1.5 inch to yours or 2 inches, but then 1 inch is okay for me. This is the center front. I cut this part on fold, and if I open it up, this is what it looks. I added 0.5 inch only to the sides. I did not add any allowance to the folded edge because I cut this part on fold, so no point adding any allowance to it. I'll go ahead and indicate both the wrong side and the front side and keep this aside. This is the side front. I added 0.5 inch to the dart area and 0.5 inch to the upper part. Okay, I added 2 inches to the base because I'm going to be increasing the length of this my top. This is the center back. I added 0.5 inch to the upper part and the dart sides. Then for the zipper part, I added 0.5 inch. To the base, I added 2 inches. Also the side back, I added 0.5 inch to the upper part and the dart part. I did not add any allowance to the armhole and the side. I cut 4 of these also. Here is the rope I'll be passing through the cup, and I cut 2 of these. Length is 24 inches, width is 1.5 inches. So I'll start the sewing process now. So this is both the center front and the side front. I'm going to put the pattern away and show you how you're going to be placing these parts together to sew. Okay, for the center front, I'm going to be opening this up and I'm going to place the side front to the center front. I want to close the dart now, alright? So I'm placing the side front and the center front together, both right sides facing each other, and I'll use my pin now to keep it in place. Alright, I'll do the same thing for the other parts. I'll place the right side of the side front to the right side of the center front, and I'm going to use my pin now to keep it in place the same way I did for the other part. Alright, so after I was done doing that, I'm going to take it now to my sewing machine and I'll be sewing by 0.5 inches. Note that whatever allowance you kept while cutting is that same allowance you're going to use while sewing, okay? If not, you're going to run short of fabric. So I'm going ahead now to sew by 0.5 inch on both sides. After sewing, this is what I got. Alright, the front panel is part of the front panel is set. So this is now the center back and side back. The M here is to close the darts. Okay, I'll place the right sides facing each other and I'm going to also pin it down. I'm sewing the darts, don't forget, placing the right side, and please be sure that you don't sew the zipper part to the dart side. Please indicate while you're cutting on your fabric. So I'm going to be sewing the dart, the right sides, place the material right sides facing each other, and I'm going to use my pin to, alright, keep it in place, alright, and start my sewing. So the reason why I cut this fabric for each in each of the patterns, I am going to be using the other part for my lining. So if you don't have enough material, go ahead and get yourself a lining and cut. But you have to turn this with the lining to ensure a neat finishing, alright? So I'll do same thing for the other part, and I'll take to my sewing machine and sew. After I was done sewing, this is what I came up with. Alright, this is what I had, and the dart is well placed, it is sewn together. This is the zipper part, and see how my dart is looking. I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the lining, alright, and iron it very well. For the cup part, I'm indicating the wrong sides. I don't want to get confused, and the center of the cup I'm going to fold in 0.25 and double fold 0.25 inches. That is, I'm folding in half of an inch. First folding 0.25 and refold 0.25 inch, and I'll take to my sewing machine and sew. Note that if the allowance you kept for the center front is 1 inch, sew in half inch and refold half of an inch and sew, okay? For me, I added half of an inch to the center front, and I'm trying to make sure I exhaust that allowance I kept. I'm going to repeat the same thing for this other side. So I'm done sewing on the center front. Next thing I'm going to do is to run a gather stitch on the base of the cup. I'm going to be running a gather stitch on the base of the top, sewing by 0.5 inch. I'm going to adjust my machine now and sew by 0.5 inch. So I'm done sewing by running a gather stitch on the base of the cup. I'm going to fold in half of an inch and refold half of an inch on the top part. This is where I'll be passing my loop. Don't forget that whatever allowance you kept, you're going to be sewing by the allowance. I'll do the same thing for this part. After sewing, you should have something like this, okay? After sewing, you should have this. So where I made the gather stitch, I'll pull out a thread from one part and start gathering the cup. I'm going to take my pin, pull out the thread from one part of the cup, from one part of the stitch, and start gathering it. You want to take your time while doing this so you don't cut any thread. Gently do this. So this is how the cup is looking. I'm going to do the same thing for the other parts. And this is the rope. I'll sew the rope right sides facing each other by 0.5 inch. I'm done sewing the rope. I'm going to now trim off the excess fabric I have on the allowance because I want this to be very easy for me when I'm turning this to the right sides. So I'm done turning it to the right side, and this is how it is. I'm going to be passing it now through the top, the upper part of the cup. Remember the 1 inch allowance I kept on the upper part. That is where we'll be passing this rope. So afterwards, I'm going to be stitching that part around the armhole. I'm going to stitch the rope, press the rope down. I don't want it to pull out. Okay, by the time I'm done with this, I'm going to sew it down. I don't want it to pull out. I hope you understand what I mean. So this is how my cup is looking. It has taken shape. I'm going to readjust the rope and make the cup a bit fitted, all right, to my size. All right, so this is how it is. Moving on, I will repeat the same method on the other part of the cup. After sewing, this is what I got, and my 2 cups are set. They are ready. I'm now going to place this cup to the front panel. So next, I'm indicating where the midpoint of the front panel is, and I'm going to place the cup right sides facing each other. So I won't sew exactly on the center front. I'm going to make a small overlap because I wouldn't want my boobs to be exposed. So place the cup right sides facing each other. While you're placing, readjust the gather stitches for it to fit very well. Make the gather stitches even, okay, for it to fit to the main front panel around the cup, the bust side. Hope you understand what I mean. So I'm now using my pin to secure it. Going ahead now to make sure the cup is well gathered. So this is how it is. I'm going to take to my machine and start sewing. I'm sewing by 0.5 inch. That is the allowance I kept while cutting on the fabric. So this is how the cup is looking, and I've done the same thing for the other part of the cup, and this is what I have. Please make sure you notch around the cup part where you made your stitch, okay? Notch it close to where you made your stitch for it to relax very well. So now I'm going to bring the back to the front and sew by the side. Okay, I'm sewing in the side allowance now by 1 inch. Remember what I kept for the allowance was 1 inch. So I'm going to sew and do the same thing for the other part. And I'm done, guys. This is how it is. This is how it's looking. I've attached the side and I've ironed. It is looking very beautiful. So I'm trimming out the excess thread, making sure everything is well knit, seated very well. Okay, so next thing to do now is to turn the front of this top with the lining. So where you have the under bust, I'm going to place the lining, okay, flip the lining right sides facing the wrong side of the lining facing the wrong side of the main bodice. You notice this lining doesn't have any cup, okay? That is how it is. It should not have any cup. So where the V shape is, I match them together and I pin it. That is where I'll be sewing. Sew by 0.5 inch. Okay, hope you understand. Where the under bust is where I'm sewing. I'm flipping this lining. Okay, right sides of the lining facing the wrong side of the fabric, and I'm going to sew by 0.5 inch. I am done sewing and I'm going to turn this over, and you guys, this is what I have. Both the wrong side and the right sides are looking all neat and clean. This is it, looking very neat, looking very clean. I'm going to flip the lining back and sew the neckline, okay? I'm going to sew the neckline, and to do that I'll have to flip this lining over like this, turn the right sides facing each other and sew by 0.5 inch. Make sure the dart on the main fabric and the lining aligns together. So this is how it's looking after I was done sewing the neckline. This is it. I've ironed it very well and it's sitting very well. So I'm going to now sew the base of the top. So I'm going to still flip this over again, right sides of the lining and the main fabric facing each other, okay? And I'm going to sew by 1/2 inch. While you're doing this, please make sure the darts sit together. Make sure the darts are placed together like I'm doing. After sewing, this is what I got, and I'm notching the base, alright, for the top to sit very well. This is totally optional. If you like, you can leave yours, but then I like doing this so that after giving it a good press, it will lay flat. I'm going to turn this, okay, right sides to show you how it is. This is how the top is looking. It is looking very pretty. At this point, I need to iron this top properly. Give it a nice press with my iron the base everywhere, okay? So this is already sitting very well. This is looking beautiful. And guys, this is what I've finally come up with after ironing, and this is how it's looking. It is looking flat, well laid. Everywhere is sitting very well. The back side is looking neat, like a ready-made top. Okay, so I'm going to now sew in close the zipper parts. Alright, as you can see, the zipper part is open, so I'm going to close it. And to do that, I'm going to be putting my hand through the armhole and gently bring the zipper part, like the back side, okay, bring it out through the armhole. Put your hand through the armhole like so and bring it out. So after bringing it out, the right side is now facing each other and the wrong side of the fabric is facing me, and I'm going to be sewing by 0.25 inch. After sewing, I'll flip it back to the right side, okay? The reason why I'm sewing by 0.25 inch is because the zipper allowance is 0.75 and I'm going to be closing the zipper area by 0.25 inch, leaving me with 0.5 inch for my zipper allowance. I hope you understand what I mean. So after that, I'm going to flip this over, give it a nice press, and our top will come out very beautiful, okay? So at this point, this is how the top is looking. It's looking very beautiful, well laid. I'm going to be fixing the sleeve and the zip up off camera. Sorry about that because of time. If you want to see how I cut the sleeve, please drop a comment. I'll definitely post a video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next one.